Did Belal Muhammad throw that fight? Like, what an incredible performance by JDM. What a fight. Oh my God. It was totally insane. Like an absolute war. But that might have been the worst game plan I have ever seen out of Belal in all the years I have been following him. Like that might have been the worst game plan I've ever seen him. I have always said, and even if he had a better game plan, it may not have changed the result, right? Like Jack looked like he was prepared for absolutely everything that Bilal could do well, right? He looked like he was incredibly well prepared. But I also think that Bilal really wanted to prove a point this fight that he can strike and he's a good boxer, right? And he looked good, but he just doesn't have the sting in his hands the way Jack does, right? So it's like, sure, you might have some crisp boxing skills, but at the end of the day, there's no heat behind them compared to Jack's, right? And so what I was seeing from Bilal, he's fought power punchers before, and he never fought them like that, right? He's fought good boxers, good strikers before, and he's never fought them like that. So I want you guys to let me know what you think about this. Comment below. Do you think that Belal Muhammad had a terrible game? Do you think Belal lost on purpose? I don't actually think he lost on purpose, right? But like that game plan was so out of character for Belal that it almost makes me think like maybe this is his way of stepping aside so that Islam can become champion. You know what I mean? Like because yeah, like I saw, he really only started to go for takedowns and try to impose his grappling in like the fourth and fifth round, and it was too late by then. Like it wasn't particularly useful at that point, right? Like in the first and second round, you saw him shoot for a couple of takedowns, but those honestly looked more like they looked half-hearted, right? Like it didn't look like he was actually trying to get the fight to the ground. It looked like he was more trying to kind of shoot so that Jack would lower his hands a little bit, opening up his striking a little bit more. Like that's what it looked like to me. It didn't really look like those first shots in the first and second round were legitimately attempts to get the fight to the ground. They looked more like they were something to set up the strikes, right? In the fourth and fifth, when he was actually going for the takedowns, like those looked like legit, almost Herculean efforts to get the fight to the ground, right? And the thing is, at that point, it like too little, too late, right? Had he done that in rounds 1 and 2, the fight could have gone very differently because he could have exhausted Jack with like his relentless pace and his wrestling, right? But that's not what happened. Like he basically for what we saw, right? He basically for those first 3 rounds really looked like he was trying to prove a point in his striking. And like it looked good, it was fan friendly, it was everything that I would say your average fan would like, right? It was an absolute war, one hell of a fight. But it also just it was so out of character from what I've seen Bilal kind of prep and game plan for guys like Jack in the past. And again, even if he had wrestled more wholeheartedly in the beginning, and even if he had, you know, like I don't want to take anything away from Jack because he looked phenomenal, right? That may not have changed the result. His cardio looked on point, his escapes, everything that he did in that fight looked great. You know what I mean? Like to get out of some of those positions where Bilal has that heavy top pressure, he was able to deal with that with relative ease. I don't want to call it ease, right? But like, there was no situation where Bilal could hold him down and kind of smother him, right? He was always moving, always working, right? In the clinch, he was working the underhooks. He was doing everything he needed to do to kind of create space. So it's like he was obvious, like I said, he was obviously well prepared for Bilal. It looked like Bilal's game plan didn't make sense for the guy that he was fighting. You know what I mean? Like it looked like like I said, it looked like Bilal was trying to prove a point that he could outbox JDM and outstrike him, right? Whereas like you've seen him with guys who have like heavy power. You know, he does lots of movement, lots of side to side, never sticks to one location. When the time's right, he'll explode into a takedown. Those are things we've seen him do in the past, right? And it took him 3 rounds to really go for a takedown. So, yeah, I don't know what I don't know what Belal was doing there. It definitely looked out of character for him. It looked like, you know, do you guys think that this is him throwing a fight, or I don't really I don't actually think that. I just kind of think like, I don't know. I kind of think he wanted to prove a point and like get fans on his side and get, you know, people excited to watch him fight and whatever. And he kind of he lost the belt doing that, I think. Yeah, I could be wrong, right? Like, again, JDM looked phenomenal. It may not have made a difference. I just felt like Bilal's performance was out of character. That's all I could say. And I am not saying that he had an off night. That's not what I'm saying. Okay? I'm not saying Belal had an off night. Belal looked great. Belal had an on night. I just think his strategy going into this fight was flawed. That's what I'm saying. If you wouldn't mind, hit the like and subscribe button. Helps the algorithm, helps grow the channel. Thank you guys for watching. See you next time.